welcome to another show of East to West. Again, I'm excited that we can spend the next few minutes together, and whatever that looks like. Hopefully we'll end the show loving each other better than we did when we first started. That's always my goal here, is to just try to, just in a simple way and in my own unique way, just try to bring joy and try to help be a light on that path that you may be going on, where at times may seem bleak and dark and unsure, and you know, all you can see is the darkness before you, and you know, sometimes that darkness seems just to be too much, and it's just too much to bear. And Jesus, in several instances in the Bible, gives us examples of people who are facing a darkness that they don't know if they'll ever be able to recover from. And so today I want to talk about a little bit about one of my favorite stories in the Bible. It really is a story of complete loss and complete hopelessness. I mean, you can't get more end than this. But Jesus always says that the end for us is just the beginning for him, and I love it. So, and especially in this time, in these days when I know we're all COVID weary, and we think, man, we're just waiting for anything good. It's like we're waiting for, you know, something good to come from the scientists. We're waiting for something good to come from the CDC. We're waiting for something good to come from the politicians. But, you know, they're really not going to bring the hope and the joy that we are really, truly looking for. Only one guy can do that. And in this story, which I love, and I've used it several times, but I just feel like I just need to just really just bring it back around again, is the story of Lazarus. Because it's not only a story of death, but it's a story of patience. It's a story of, even when everything seems bleak, there's a reason that we're going through this, and that there's a reason that God is going to come through with this. So Lazarus was a good friend of Jesus. I mean, it clearly says in the scriptures that he was a friend of Jesus. Jesus knew Lazarus. Lazarus wasn't just some strange guy that he had heard of. He actually knew Lazarus. So he was in another town, and some people came to him and said, Jesus, your friend Lazarus has died. And at this point, you know, Jesus, you know, says, okay. And his sister says, come, that you may heal him. And Jesus says, I can't go yet, because when I go, the glory of God will be revealed. And that's important, because a lot of times people think, man, what a jerk, Jesus. You go and heal all these people you don't know. You go and take care of all these people in these foreign lands. But here's this guy, a friend that you know intimately, that you know, and you're waiting. Why are you waiting? Because I think the lesson that we're going to learn in this, and that the lesson that Jesus was trying to teach us, is that, you know, a prolonged healing, a prolonged restoration can sometimes be more powerful than a quick healing, you know. And I think Lazarus' sisters are going to learn this very valuable lesson, because, you know, these guys go back and tell him, Jesus said he'll be there in 3 days. And so during that time, Lazarus succumbed. He died. And, you know, they buried him. They put him in a tomb. And so 3 days later, Jesus says, I think I'll go see how Lazarus is doing. He already knew. He knew. But he knew it was going to happen. He knew it was going to happen at the end of that story. We don't know. They didn't know. His disciples didn't know. But he knew. He knew. And so he gets to this town where Lazarus lived. And his sisters are just in such devastation. They're like, why didn't you come? If you'd come, our brother would be alive now. What's more powerful? What's going to be more powerful in their life at this point? Them going around saying, yeah, Jesus healed my brother, or that Jesus raised my brother from the dead. I mean, it's just all about the glory of God. And it's all about He's going to do things in our lives that's going to reflect on His goodness and His glory. He's going to do that. He's going to do it. And He's going to do it in His way. He's going to do it in His time. I'm sure the sisters were distraught. I'm sure when they saw Jesus coming, they're like, oh, well, there's no use now. He's dead. Why are you coming now? Why didn't you come when we sent for you? Why? Why didn't you come then? And how many times do we in our own lives, I know how many times I've sat through during this COVID time going, Lord, why? Why? Why won't you let this end? Why won't you let this disease just go away? Why won't you? And I just think God is going to do something great through all of this. I think the new normal on the other side is going to be way better than it is now. I think, and I hope, and I pray. I don't want us to be, whatever, the vaccine's out, the virus is over, and then 4 months later we're back to the way it was before. I just hope that we can learn how meaningful and how short life really can be, and how easily that can be taken away. And at this point, Mary, Lazarus' sisters, realized how quickly life can turn, life can end. And for their brother, they thought it had ended forever. And Jesus knew better. He knew differently. So he makes them wait 3 days. Patience, and then he asks them a simple question, and he says, he asks, when he gets there, he says, and many Jews had come to Martha to comfort them and in the loss of the brother. When Martha had heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed home. Lord, Martha said to Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask. So isn't that just crazy? That she still, even in her distress and her sadness, still had the foresight to say that God will give you whatever you ask. And it's just crazy. As she says, and then Jesus says to her, your brother will rise again. And Martha had no problem with this statement. Of course he'll rise again, Jesus. Of course he will. We all will. We'll all rise on the resurrection on the last day. We'll all rise. And Jesus said to her, which is powerful, which is just phenomenal, because I'm sure before Lazarus stepped out of that tomb, these words probably didn't have as much meaning as they did when Jesus said this to Martha before he stepped out of the tomb. But Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. Though the one who believes in me will live even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this? Now this is the turning point. This is the crucial moment in this whole thing. He's telling Martha who he is and what he can do. And he asks a question, do you believe this? Martha could have said, nope, look at the tomb. How can you be the resurrection and the life when my brother lays dead in a tomb? How can you be that? But she didn't. She said two powerful words that I think when we're going through the darkest times of our life and we hear Jesus saying, I am the resurrection and the life. Believe in me, even though it feels like your world is dying or whatever, I can bring life into that. Do you believe this? I think that's the hardest thing that we have to figure out. When times come, and troubles come, and we're doubting the goodness of God, and we're doubting the love of God, and we're doubting God's care for us or whatever, and he says, but I do. Do you believe this? And she says two powerful words that really, I think, just exploded the story. She said, yes, Lord. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who is to come into the world. After she had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary aside. The teacher is here, she said, and is asking for you. When Mary heard this, she got up quickly and went to him. When Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved and troubled. And he said, where have you laid him? And come and see, Lord, they replied. Now, this next verse, John 11:35, is just powerful. It's two words. Jesus wept. Now, I've always wondered, why did Jesus cry in this moment when he knew the greatness that was about to come? He knew that the story was going to end with a good, happy ending. So why is he crying? Why is he crying at this point? I think it just shows his compassion for his people. I mean, I think of a time that I've cried for my friends. I've cried for their struggles. I've cried for their heartache. I've learned the last week that 3 dear friends of mine have been diagnosed with cancer, and I've wept for them, and I know, and I feel their sorrow, and I feel their hurt, and I think Jesus at this moment was feeling all of that, and he was moved to tears. Can you imagine the God of creation who created everything was moved to tears because of this? And so he says, and then Jesus once more was deeply moved, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance. Take away the stone, he said. But Lord, said Martha, the sister of the dead man, by this time there is a bad odor, for he has been in there for 4 days. 4 days. Laying in this tomb dead. 4 days. I don't even imagine what a body looks like in the grave after 4 days. I don't even know. I mean, I can imagine, but I don't know. And then it says, but Martha, then Jesus said, did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God? So it's just amazing. It's not like he didn't say, if you believe, you will see your son or your brother walking out of the tomb. He said, you will see the glory of God. And it's just amazing. So they went and took the stone away. Jesus looked up and said, Father, I thank that you have heard me. I know that you will always hear me. But I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me. When he had said this, Jesus called out in a loud voice. Now I can't even imagine what that would have sounded like. I try to picture, I like to go to Cranert, and I like to go to the Great Hall, and I like to sit and try to just hear. It's just amazing that the way that this thing is built, this Great Hall, is just, the sound is great no matter where you sit. It's just loud. It's just piercing. It's just amazing. I mean, when the orchestra is going or they're singing, and I went and saw the Irish bagpipes and drums, which was amazing. I mean, just the sound in this room was just amazing, and that, I'm sure, pales in comparison to just the magnitude of the glory when he says to Lazarus, come out, with a loud voice. I can't even imagine. And for a few seconds, I'm sure people are going, oh boy, really? Has Jesus gone off the deep end? Has Jesus really lost his marbles? Is he really standing in front of an open tomb of a dead guy saying, come out? Doesn't he realize this guy's been dead for 4 days? Doesn't God know that I've been struggling with this for 8 months? Doesn't God know that this situation I'm in, I've been struggling for years? Doesn't he know that? And he's now telling me to come out of this situation? I don't think so. And the world's standing around going, he can't do nothing for you. What are you talking about? It's dead. That opportunity is dead. That situation is dead. That chance for forgiveness is dead. That opportunity for reconciliation is dead. That opportunity to breathe life into that situation that's been dead for so long. Jesus, he can't do that. He can't rectify that. He can't do that. And I'm sure they thought the same thing until they saw the first foot step out of that tomb. And I'm sure people were just like, what? Do you see that? Do you see that? Because a dead man who was dead came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. And Jesus said to them, take off their grave clothes and let him go. It's amazing. He didn't just say take off the clothes. He said take off the grave clothes. Those clothes were there meant to show that as long as he was wrapped up in those garments, wrapped up in that situation, wrapped up in that fear, wrapped up in that shame or whatever is wrapped around you that's holding you back from stepping out of that tomb, he just said, take him off and let him go. And Lazarus walked out. Can you imagine? I can't even imagine what that town felt like, what that town was going through. I mean, they're just like, I'm sure their heads were going, I'm sure the high priests were going, what is going on here? Who is this? What? What? Well, maybe Lazarus wasn't really dead. Maybe he was just wrapped up from head to toe and laid in a tomb for 4 days. But maybe he wasn't really dead. No. He was dead. He was dead. He was so dead that Jesus wept over it. And in that moment, God showed the glory of himself. He said, world be whatever. I am the king. I can do it. I will do it. I'm going to do it. And so Lazarus and those people around got to experience the true, because really what it was all about really is Jesus showing his love for his people. I mean, that's all he ever did when he walked here. He just wanted to show his love for his people. You know, another great story that I love, and I don't even need the Bible open for this one, because I think of this every time I go through stuff, and every time I hear somebody struggling with an illness and with a disease, I think of this story, because if it's true for this guy all those years ago, it's still true today. It's not a watered down truth. It's not like the truth has lessened over the years. It's the same powerful truth today than it was 2,000 years ago for this guy who had an encounter with Jesus on a dirt road. So Jesus had just gotten done giving a sermon, coming down the hill, and as he's approaching, coming down the hill, here comes another guy approaching Jesus. And as they get closer, they realize this guy has leprosy. And I like the series, The Chosen. I love how they portray this. I love it. Because this is exactly how I picture my God. So the disciples are like, "No, stop, it's a leper. Go, run away." You know? Don't go near that guy. He's going to bring nothing but death and destruction if we get near this guy. And all of a sudden, Jesus just starts walking towards him. They're like, "Jesus, don't go over there. You're going to get sick." Really? You've seen Jesus do all this stuff? You've seen Jesus raise Lazarus from the dead. You saw him walk on the water. You saw him do all this stuff. But now you think he's going to get sick if he goes over and hangs out with a guy who's got leprosy? Man, come on. So he goes over there, and the guy kneels, and he falls before him. And he says, Lord, I'm not willing. I'm not willing. He was humble. He was letting that disease become his identity and convince him that he wasn't worthy of this thing that he's asking from God. And he said, I am not willing. But if you're willing, I know I can be cleansed. And so Jesus kneels down. Jesus just doesn't stand there and go, you're healed. He doesn't do that. He bends down, looks the guy square in the eye, and says, I am willing. And he places his hand on him. And this guy's miraculously healed. I mean, healed. No more leprosy. And the joy, not only from the leper, but the joy from the Lord, the joy from Jesus, seeing his creation restored. I mean, I wish we could just capture that. I wish we could just get a snapshot of Jesus sitting on the throne looking down at us smiling, knowing that we're struggling. He's putting things together. He's putting a plan together. He's just the ultimate coach, you know. He's always drawing up a battle plan. And he knew he was going to have a run-in with that guy. He knew he was going to meet the leper on that road that day. He knew it. He knew it for years. And he knew what the leper was going to say. And it's just amazing because God said, sure. God could have said, sure. Yeah. But I think when he answered his question, or with a statement reflective of his question, I think that's even more powerful. When he said, I know you are willing. If you are willing, I can be healed. And Jesus returned it and said, I am willing. And so he healed him. And it's amazing. I love it. I just love it because I just cling to those stories when times are tough. I know we're all COVID weary. We're all tired of it. I'm tired of it. I'm ready. I'm ready to go eat. I like to eat. And I want to go sit somewhere and eat. But I know that right now that's not what's the best thing to do. And I get that. But I know that Jesus is even now planning an end to this. You know, and the sun will come out again. And spring will come again. And summer will come again. And we will all one day look back and go, man, what a time. And what I really hope, just like Mary and Martha learned when they saw their son or their brother come out of the grave, and what the leper learned when he had his moment with Jesus on that road, that months later, I still want them to say, man, what did we learn out of that situation? It's not like, man, I'm glad we came out of that situation. I'm glad. I will be glad. I know you'll be glad. I know everybody that's just weary of this will be glad when this situation is over. But when it's over and we have time to reflect, I want to know, I want to think, man, what did I learn from this situation? What did I learn from this time? Did I use this time to draw closer? Or did I use this time to draw farther away? You know, and I hope for many of you out there, I hope for all of you out there listening, that it will be a time to draw closer to each other. I mean, come on, man, I'm ready to see my grandbabies again. I'm ready to see my grandboys again. I'm ready to see my kids again. I'm ready to see those friends that I haven't seen since March again. I'm ready to tell some jokes. I can't keep telling the same jokes to the same 5 people. I need a larger audience. So I just can't wait for this to be over. And like I said, when it's over, I hope that the new normal will be, man, what did I learn? And that we will smile at each other better. We will love each other better. That we will tend to each other better, that we will just know that the road is the same for all of us. We're all walking down the same road called life. You know, it's tough, it's rocky, it has thorns, it has smooth spots, rough spots, drop-offs, pit holes. But man, if we can just realize that Jesus is walking with us this whole time, even through all of that, even through now, we're not alone. I know sometimes we can feel alone, but we're not alone. I mean, it's just crazy. And I've learned that. I learned that through my own seasons of life, you know, and I hope that this time will help you to learn that as well. That goodness can always come out of darkness. It can always come out of that. And we just love each other, you know. One of my favorite songs I've been just listening to now, it's just Put a Little Love in Your Heart. I love it. I love that song. If we could just put a little love in each other's hearts for each other and smile and just bless each other. I mean, I just think these times can be a time to bounce out and bounce into this new love and joy for each other, because that's what God wants. God wants us to be imitators of Him here. And all He wanted to do when He was here was love people. They were mocked Him, ridiculed Him, called Him names. He still loved them. He still healed them. You know, if Caiaphas, after Jesus rose, if Caiaphas would have asked Jesus to come and break bread with him, Jesus would have ran to break bread with Caiaphas. Jesus would have broke bread with Pilate. Jesus would have broke bread with all those who mocked Him and cursed Him while He was on the cross. He would have done that. He would have done that because He knows that the glory of the Lord through love defeats all enemies. That it's just the way that it is. And we just got to learn, and hopefully we can just love each other more. Because I love you guys. I love all you guys out there. I love knowing you. I love hanging out with you. I love getting to know all your stories on Facebook. Your excitement for life. I just love it. And that's just a small capsule of what Jesus' love is, you know, when we just can reach out and just love each other. And so I'm going to leave it with that. So you guys have a great week. Have a great Thanksgiving. I'm about to go into food coma here in T-minus 3 days. I'm excited. I will be in no shape to do a show next week, so we'll see you in 2 weeks. Until then, have a great week, guys. Just remember, go out and love somebody. You know, go out and make a stranger a friend, but more importantly, don't make a friend a stranger this week. Find somebody that you haven't reached out to. Tell them you're thankful that you're in their life. Love on them. Give them some kind of hope and some kind of peace, and just connect. And we love you here at East to West, and we will talk to you in 2 and 2, Chuck Woolery for us old timers. 2 and 2. I'll see you guys later. Love you. Have a great Thanksgiving.